All right, guys, it is Thursday afternoon. It's time for a way overdue update on the 55 projects. I've got not really much of anything done since my last video. I've been getting a little side work, paying jobs, so that's kind of nice. We had 3 days of rain, and I didn't work on anything out here because of the rain, but I did ended up clearing out this side of the garage so I could get the four-door chassis in here so it didn't get rusty, because I had, a lot of it to bare metal. But anyway, so I'll run you through on what I got done here so far. I haven't done anything else to the body on the four-door. Now I've got the chassis here. I've pretty much primed this front area because I did a bunch of body work up here. I wiped all of the top rails here all the way down, and this one too on both sides. There was lots of welding slags and pits and dings and grinder marks from where I did some welding, patching holes and stuff. So I went ahead and primed all this. There was not very much primer left in that can, so I went ahead and just shot as much of it as I could on there. I have to go to Tulsa tomorrow and pick up a drive shaft for my cousin's 55, and the drive shaft shop is like not even a half a block away from the paint store that I go to for car paint, so that's pretty convenient. So anyway, I'm going to go in there and get some more of this primer, and then probably come back home and try to prime the rest of it. But anyway, I do have to block this out first though, but that won't be too bad. I'm just going to 220 dry block it and, then reshoot it again. I don't really care, but anyway, so at least the frame will look pretty nice when the hood's open. I wasn't planning on doing any body work up here, but it would have bugged me, having the hood open and somebody look at the engine compartment and just the frame be all rough up here. A lot of this frame stub stuff is pretty visible when the hood's up. These cars are pretty bare bones when you open the hood. There's not a lot of crap on the engine, so a lot of this is visible. So I wanted to make sure that was pretty clean. So it got body worked. Wasn't planning on doing it, but it got it done. So I did get my brake booster master cylinder from my cousin. This was a unit that was bought new, put on his car. It never had fluid put in it. And he ended up going with all chrome, everything chrome. Master cylinder, booster, the bracket, proportioning valve, everything's chrome on his car. So I ended up with this unit to put on the four-door. So this will have power disc brakes. I already have a Speedway disc brake kit for the front. So anyway, what else? It's kind of funny. This is a pretty funny story. When I went to the machine shop and dropped the engine off, on the way back, there was an antique store on the side of the road. Looked like a pretty big place, and I'd never been to it. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to swing in there. So I went in there looking around, and I'm constantly looking for like 80s toys. I was lucky enough to get 70s and 80s when I was growing up as a kid, but 80s was really the most I remember. Anyway, there was a 55 Chevy, two of them, 150 or 210 steering wheel hanging up on the wall at this one booth. Bunch of hubcaps. There wasn't any Chevy hubcaps. I was hoping there would be another 150 or 210 hubcap for that, because I've got one that's got a few dings in it that I would like to change. But anyway, those steering wheels were hanging there, and I needed one for the longest time, but I ended up getting one for free for the four-door. But anyway, they were 85 bucks a piece, and they were complete. They had the horn ring and the horn centers in them. But so I thought that was pretty cool. But anyway, I thought that was worth noting. But I didn't buy anything. There was really nothing in there. I didn't really need anything. It's one of those deals where I just kind of stopped in to see what was in there. But you never know unless you stop, type of thing. Anyway, so the engine's at the machine shop getting done. They're doing everything to it except assembly. I'm assembling it. But I am a little worried about something, because I think what happened to my hardtops engine, I think the cam went flat in it, and that's probably what went through the bearings and messed it up. There's been a lot of guys on YouTube lately with his channels. They've been having the same issue. They're wiping their cams out during break-in, after break-in, or shortly after break-in. This was a hydraulic flat tappet in here. I haven't had a cam go flat on me since like '05, '06, somewhere in there. But, you know, I always run comp cams, engine break-in oil. But on top of that, I put a bottle of ZDDP in it. I run ZDDP in everything. I got it in my truck. I was running in that 80 Buick Regal I had. I even have, every time I change the oil in my compressor, I put just a little bitty bit in there, like maybe a teaspoon or so in it. And I run it in my old 1995 or 94, whatever it is, Craftsman riding lawnmower. Put just a little bit of zinc in it as well. I mean, it's just a lubricant, it ain't gonna hurt nothing. But anyway, I think that's probably what happened to here, because I actually talked to some cam manufacturers this last week and found out some information, because I actually called, one of them was Howard's Cams. I called them. I've been thinking about trying to buy a hydraulic roller camshaft for my 400 small block to put in this 55. I have never put a roller cam in an old engine, old small block. I've had the newer model, you know, small blocks that have the factory roller in them, but I've never retrofit a roller cam in one. It was always too expensive. With me getting a little bit of work, I do have enough money maybe to get the cam and stuff. But after talking to the guy at Howard's, I found out that it's pretty much going to be probably out of the picture, because not only is the cam and lifter kit from Summit $714, which is an absolutely ridiculous price for a cam and lifter kit in my opinion. You have to have a gear on your distributor, which I'd always heard that, but I'd always heard you change it out to a bronze gear, and I asked him about it, and he said he did not recommend a bronze gear for a street-driven vehicle. So this will be a street-driven vehicle. I plan on driving this to all the shows. I would like to drive it to Texas to one of the Good Guys events, because I am a Good Guys member. I'd also like to take it on a Route 66 drive sometime. So it's going to be a road car, basically. Anyway, he recommended a composite gear, which to me, in my mind, doesn't make sense, because it's basically a plastic. You would think that would not last as long as a bronze would, but whatever. I'm not a cam expert. They are the experts, and that's why I call them. So that gear, I want to say it was like 150 bucks for that gear. And also the other problem is there was actually two more things. Push rods. You got to have a special length push rod. He could not give me a part number, because I guess everything always is different. But I basically need a push rod length checker to find out what size or what length push rods I need. So I'm gonna have to buy push rods, a distributor gear, the cam and lifters. There was one other thing, I don't remember what it was. Son of a gun. Drawing a blank. Anyway, so it's almost $1,000 now for just to go to a roller cam in a small block, and I think that is stupid. It's just absolutely stupid. But it would make me feel better, especially, you know, if I take this apart and find the lifters worn, because, you know, I always break my cams in, I use the proper oil and the additive and stuff, but there is another thing that is supposed to be done that I didn't do. They like you to take your, on your dual valve springs, they like you to take your middle spring out for like 500 miles to break that hydraulic flat tappet cam in. So I didn't do that. I had the whatever valve springs came in these brand new Edelbrock heads, so that could have been what happened. But anyway, because I remember getting this thing running and I broke in the cam and I was having all kinds of issues with carburetor flooding. The brand new MSD distributor out of the box, something was wrong with it. It wasn't hitting right. Man, what else was it? Oh, the air bleed broke off in the carburetor. So, I mean, there was lots of problems, and I kept revving it up quite a bit, trying to clean it out, because it was just black smoking like crazy and starting to run rough. So anyway, if that cam lobe started wiping or the lifter started getting eaten up, you know, that metal's going right through that oiling system of that engine. It's just going to go to the bearings. So that is probably what happened, because the knock in this car, when you start it up and it's sitting there at temp, you know, around 200 degrees, 190, 200 degrees, you go to give it throttle, you hear it go clunk, 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 and then it'll rev up a little bit. So that could have been what happened. I don't know. But Anyway, I really wanted to do a roller, but for that price, man, I'm probably not going to be able to do it. That's just absolutely ridiculous amount to have to pay for a roller cam setup. Just absolutely ridiculous in my opinion. So anyway, I may go with a hydraulic flat tapping, and if that's the case, I am going to change my valve springs out to a softer spring just to help out for the break-in period. I remember when I wiped my first cam in like 2005, it was in an 87 Grand National Buick. Those are shaft mount rockers. I was breaking the cam in, and I think like 12 or 13 minutes in, it started clacking the valves, or the rocker arm started clacking a little bit, and ended up taking it back apart. A few of the lifters started eating up in it. So I ended up calling, it was a comp cam, and I remember calling comp cams back then, and I talked to the guy and he asked me what oil I use, and I said, well, it's, you know, off the shelf oil from Walmart, like Castrol GTX is what I used to always run. Anyway, he said they don't have zinc in them. Well, I didn't know that back then, that they'd taken all the zinc out of the oils, so, and all the other stuff. There's a lot of other stuff, molybdenum and all that other crap, you know, corduroy, denim, that type of crap. Anyway, he recommended me at that time to run Rotella 1540 because at that time it still had zinc in it, and I could get it at Walmart and it was pretty inexpensive, so I have been running Rotella ever since. Now I recently heard, well I say recently, it was about a year or two ago I think, that they're not putting as much zinc in it as they used to, so I have been running ZDDP in with my Rotella in my truck. This one actually has the comp cam's break-in oil in it because it's a new motor. You know, I broke it in. I haven't changed it yet because I don't have that many hours on it yet. But anyway, I really want a roller cam, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to swing it. That's just too much money. So I'm probably gonna end up having to go with another flat tappet, which, you know, flat tappet, hydraulic flat tappet camshaft's about 120 bucks. So compare that to $1,000 for a roller cam. The only there's a couple of things about going with a roller cam. I won't ever have to mess with that stupid additives and the zinc, you know, oil stuff, which is expensive. But also I'd have a pretty good ease of mind that I don't have to worry about my flat tappet cam going flat in my car and have to go through all this crap again. But for that price, man, that's pretty ridiculous. So I'm not saying I'm not going to get it because I'm not sure how much longer my cousin's going to let me work on his car. He has a lot of stuff he wants to do, but he's also getting ready to start a remodel on his house, so I'm going over there Saturday and working all day, but you know, get a couple more days of work, I'll have enough to you know, buy the cam and stuff. So I may get it, I'm just not 100% yet. But I had a friend of mine as one of my mentors from when I was a kid. He run a lot of them Howard's cams, and he always swore by them cams. He never had an issue with them. He died of cancer there. I think it's been a couple years ago now, but anyway, so he always talked highly of them and was always trying to talk me into buying one of them, and I just couldn't afford it. I mean, back then I couldn't even afford to buy the cam and lifter kit, let alone buy all the other stuff to go with it, you know what I mean? But anyway, so I may go with a hydraulic roller cam, I just don't know yet, but it will be pretty much over 10-to-1 compression with these aluminum 64cc heads with a hydraulic roller cam, 373 gears with an overdrive. I mean, the car ought to run pretty good. I don't care about, you know, having it fast, but I think it'll run pretty decent. But I think the fastest car I've ever had that I actually took to the track and actually got a time on was 11:75, and that was one of my Grand Nationals. I've had 4 of those. But I had a 55 two-door post that had a 383 in it, lots of compression, World Products heads. I think it had 411 gears, 9-inch Ford, and I don't remember. I had so many 55s with different setups that I used to street race all the time. I never took that car to the track and ran it, but I know, because I got the Grand National just right after that 55 two-door post, and I know that 55 would walk all over that Buick. So anyway, I probably had faster cars, but I just can't prove it because I never had it on the track. But I used to be a hardcore street racer and go to the track all the time, but I've kind of fallen out of it because speed costs money, you know what I mean? And I'd take them out, run the crap out of them, and I'd tear something up, and then you got to fix it. And it was, you know, constantly buying parts, and I just don't want to do that. I want to enjoy my car. I do want it to run hard, but you know, I want to enjoy it mainly. But anyway, guys, that's where I'm at. I got the car all cleaned up, and it just made me fall in love with it again, which I was ready a couple of weeks ago to get back on the hardtop, but I was right in the middle of all the stuff in the four-door here, so pretty much the only stopping point I have now is to get the frame finish painted so it doesn't rust, and then just kind of half-ass bolt all the suspension stuff back under it and set the body on it so I can roll it out here in the fence. But that is pretty much what's coming. But that is the new deadline, is October 9th, 2021 for Veneta, Oklahoma's Oktoberfest car show. So if I make it, I make it. If I don't, the car's that much closer. So it's basically a win-win for me. That's the way I'm looking at it. I did have a guy stop by yesterday. It's a pretty funny story. Don't know this guy, didn't know the car when he pulled in. I was actually had this door down, and I was sanding body filler on the front of this chassis right there. Had this door down so I didn't get body filler dust in here on the car. And this guy pulls in, wants to know if I want to sell the four-door because he needs a parts car. I said, I don't want to sell it, and I wouldn't sell it to you as a parts car anyway. So he goes, oh, you're going to build that? That was exactly what he said about the four-door. And I get it. You know, I get it. Lots of people are anti-four-door, and that's fine. I don't care. I don't care how many doors they got. It's a 55 Chevy is all I look at. And like my uncle said, when you're sitting in the front seat, you don't see the other two doors behind you. So, I mean, no doubt if I had the money, I would buy a two-door. But, you know, when I found this car, it was a pretty good buy, so I had to buy it. So, anyway, it's going to be for the wife, and we'll both have 55s, and I'm building that for her to enjoy and drive and have fun with. So anyway, I'm going to see what I can get done, but thanks for watching. There's your update.